The pink confetti cannon exploded over my head, and I felt something inside me explode too. My name is Mary, and I'm 38 years old. I'm a lawyer. I own my condo outright. I've never missed a payment on anything in my life. And standing there in my sister's backyard, covered in glitter that screamed, "It's a girl," I realized I'd been paying for her happiness with my dignity for years. "Speech! Speech!" someone shouted. Ciara stood on the deck, one hand on her swollen belly, the other clutching Ross's arm. She looked radiant in that effortless way she'd always had, the kind that made our mother beam and strangers stop to compliment her. Her white maternity dress probably cost more than most people's car payments. "I just want to thank everyone for being here," Ciara said, her voice carrying that practiced sweetness she used for Instagram videos. "This baby girl is so loved already. We're so blessed to have family who supports us." Her eyes swept past me like I was part of the landscaping. I clapped along with everyone else, smiled, played my role. After the speech, I found Kira by the dessert table, loading her plate with custom macarons that matched the color scheme. "Hey," I said, "congratulations again. The party is beautiful." "Thanks. Ross's mom helped with the planning. She has such good taste." Kira bit into a macaron, pink cream filling her lips. "Did you try the cake? It's from that bakery downtown, the one that does celebrity weddings." "Not yet." I reached into my purse and pulled out the envelope. "This is for you." "For the nursery." Ciara's eyes lit up, the first genuine emotion I'd seen from her all day. She tore it open right there, not even bothering to step away from the crowd. $5,000? She looked up at me, and for a split second, I thought I saw gratitude. "Mary, this is—" "I wanted to help. You mentioned the crib you liked was expensive, and this is perfect." Ciara waved the check at Ross, who was manning the grill. "Babe, look what Mary gave us." Ross jogged over, spatula still in hand. He glanced at the check and whistled. "Wow, that's generous, Mary." "Well, I'm going to be an aunt. I want her to have everything she needs." Kira tucked the check into her bra, and laughed. "See, Ross? I told you Mary would come through. She always does." Something in her tone made my spine straighten. "At least you're useful for something," Ciara continued, loud enough that the nearby conversation started to quiet. "Since you'll probably die alone while we're over here building a real family." The words hit like a slap. Ross choked on his beer. "Ciara, come on." "What?" "I'm joking." She laughed, touching my arm with sticky fingers. "Mary knows I'm kidding. She knows I love her. Right, sis?" Everyone was looking at us now. My mother stood by the punch bowl, her expression carefully neutral. Aunt Helen's eyes were wide. Cousin Sierra had her phone out, probably recording for TikTok. I smiled. It felt like my face might crack. "Right," I said. "Of course." "See?" Ciara turned back to the crowd, crisis averted in her mind. "Mary's the best. She co-signed our mortgage. She's always helping out. What would we do without her? Treat me like a person, maybe. Not an ATM with a pulse." But I didn't say that. I excused myself to the bathroom and locked the door behind me. Stared at myself in the mirror, the same mirror Kira had probably used for 100 selfies. My reflection looked tired, older than 38, like I'd been carrying something heavy for too long. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a contact I'd saved months ago but never called. Samir, my colleague's divorce attorney, the one who specialized in messy separations. My finger hovered over his name. Through the bathroom door, I could hear Tira laughing, the sound of champagne glasses clinking. Someone started a chant. "Speech from the aunt! Speech from Aunt Mary!" I pressed call. He answered on the second ring. "Samir speaking. Hi, this is Mary Knight. We met at the Bar Association dinner last spring. You gave me your card. I remember. What can I do for you?" I took a breath. Let it out slowly. "Initiate the partition action," I said. "Let's see who really owns this dream." Samir's office smelled like leather and old books, the kind of place where serious decisions got made. "Walk me through it from the beginning," he said, sliding a legal pad across his desk. "When did you co-sign?" 2 years ago, March. I could still remember the restaurant where they'd asked. Sierra had cried. Ross had called me the best sister anyone could ask for. They couldn't qualify on their own. Ross's credit was trashed from some business thing, and Kiara's income was inconsistent. Inconsistent how? She calls herself a lifestyle influencer. Some months she makes decent money. Most months, not so much. Samir wrote something down. And the agreement was? They'd refinance within 18 months to get my name off the mortgage. I'd be released from all liability. I pulled out my phone and showed him the text thread. Ross promised, multiple times. He scrolled through the messages, his expression unchanging. "Did you get this in writing? Legally binding?" "No. They're family. I trusted them. That's what everyone says." He handed back my phone. "Mary, partition actions are nuclear. You're essentially forcing the sale of the property. Your sister just announced she's having a baby. The optics, I know how it looks." "Do you?" "Because judges are human. Juries are human. If this goes to court, you'll be the villain in every headline." I met his eyes. "I've been the villain in my family for years, just for existing, for not being married, for not giving my mother grandchildren, for being successful on my own terms." My voice stayed level. "At least this time, I'll have something to show for it." Samir studied me for a long moment. "All right. I'll need copies of all mortgage documents, correspondence, payment records, everything. I'll send them tonight. One more thing." He leaned back in his chair. "Are you prepared for what comes next? This won't be clean. This won't be quiet." "Good," I said. "I'm done being quiet." That night, Jake came over with Thai food and wine. He'd been doing that a lot lately, showing up when I needed him without me having to ask. "You actually did it," he said, unpacking containers on my kitchen counter. "You called the lawyer." "I did." "How do you feel?" "Like I'm about to jump off a cliff." I poured 2 glasses of wine. "Or push someone else off. I haven't decided which." Jake took his glass and clinked it against mine. "For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. My mother doesn't. She called me 4 times today." I didn't answer. Smart. She left voicemails. Want to hear? I pulled up my phone and hit play on speaker. My mother's voice filled the kitchen, sharp and accusing. "Mary Elizabeth Knight, I don't know what's gotten into you, but you need to call your sister and apologize. She's pregnant. She's hormonal. You're being selfish and vindictive, and frankly, I'm ashamed." Jake winced. "Ouch." "There's more." I skipped to the next message. "This is about jealousy, isn't it? You can't stand seeing Kiara happy. You can't stand that she has a husband and a baby on the way while you're alone in that sterile condo with your career. Well, congratulations, Mary. You're proving everyone right about you." I turned off the phone and took a long drink of wine. "She's wrong," Jake said quietly. "You know that, right?" "Do I?" "You're not alone. You're not sterile. And you're definitely not jealous." He moved closer. "You're hurt. There's a difference." I wanted to believe him, but my mother's words had teeth, and they'd sunk deep. My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt Helen. "Can we talk? Not taking sides. Just want to understand." Then another from Ciara. "Mom says you're trying to take our house. What is wrong with you?" And another from Ross. "We can work this out. Don't do something you'll regret." "They're circling the wagons," I said. Jake read over my shoulder. "Let them circle. You've got the high ground here." "Do I?" I opened my laptop and pulled up the mortgage account. Something I'd been avoiding for weeks. "I've been making half the payments for 2 years, Jake. They promised to refinance. They promised—" I stopped. The screen showed a refinance had been completed 4 months ago. What is it? Jake asked. I clicked through the documents, my heart pounding. New loan, better interest rate. My name's still on the title, but not on the new mortgage. They refinanced without telling me, I said. They used my credit to get approved, then cut me out of the new loan. Jake leaned in. Can they do that? They just did. I scrolled further, and they pulled out equity, $40,000. For what? I thought about Ross's new Tesla, Kira's designer maternity wardrobe, the gender reveal party that probably cost more than most weddings. For their perfect life, I said, built on my credit, my trust, my stupidity. Jake's hand found mine. Not stupidity. Love. You loved your sister. Past tense? You tell me. I looked at the screen, at the numbers, at the proof of their betrayal in black and white. Samir asked if I wanted to go nuclear. I said, I think I just found my missile. Samir called it fraud. I called it exactly what I expected. They forged your signature on the refinance consent forms, he said, spreading the documents across his desk. See here? That's not your handwriting. I stared at the signature. It was close. Tiara had always been good at mimicking me. My handwriting, my voice on the phone to get out of trouble, my entire personality when it suited her. What does this mean legally? It means we have them. Fraud, breach of contract, identity theft if we want to push it. Samir tapped his pen against the paper. The question is how far you want to take this. All the way. Mary, listen to me. If we pursue fraud charges, Ross could face criminal penalties. Your sister could be implicated. With a newborn, they should have thought about that before they stole from me. My phone buzzed. I flipped it over. The family group chat was exploding. Mom. Mary, we need to talk about this like adults. Family doesn't sue family. Chiara. I can't believe you're doing this while I'm pregnant. Do you want me to lose the baby from stress? Ross. We made a mistake with the paperwork. It was an oversight. We can fix this. Chiara. An oversight she's turning into a lawsuit. She's trying to make us homeless. Mom. Mary, answer your phone. This is ridiculous. I turned the phone face down. They're saying it was an oversight, I said. Samir raised an eyebrow. An oversight that put $40,000 in their bank account? Where did the money go? Can we trace it? He pulled up another document. Based on their bank records, which we obtained through discovery, $25,000 went to a Tesla Model 3, $10,000 to various luxury purchases. The rest is gone. Restaurants, shopping, that party you mentioned. So they have nothing. They have a car they can't afford to insure and a house they're about to lose. My phone rang. Aunt Helen. I answered. Mary, sweetheart, what's going on? Did Mom send you to talk sense into me? No. I'm calling because I want to hear your side without Denise breathing down my neck. Helen's voice was gentle. Talk to me. I told her everything. The co-signing, the promises, the refinance, the forged signature, silence on the other end. Helen? I'm here. I'm just processing. She sighed. Mary? I love Kara. She's my niece, but she's been spoiled rotten since the day she was born, and your mother enabled every bit of it. So you think I'm doing the right thing? I think you're doing the only thing you can do. They backed you into a corner. She paused. But be prepared. Denise won't see it that way. Neither will Ciara. You're going to lose people over this. I've already lost them. I just didn't know it yet. The next morning, Kira's Instagram post went viral. A photo of her cradling her belly, tears streaming down her face. The caption: When family cares more about money than blood. When your own sister tries to take your home while you're about to give birth. I never thought I'd experience this kind of betrayal. Please keep us in your prayers. Comments flooded in, thousands of them. Your sister is a monster. How can someone be so heartless? This is why I don't trust family with money. Sue her for emotional distress. My phone started ringing. Unknown numbers, a reporter from some online magazine, another from a local news station. Jake found me on my couch, staring at my phone. Don't read the comments, he said. Too late. They don't know the full story. They don't care about the full story. Pregnant woman equals victim. Successful single woman equals villain. I threw my phone across the room. It bounced off a cushion. She's good. I'll give her that. Let Samir handle the PR. There is no handling this. She's got 50,000 followers who think I'm Satan. Jake sat beside me. Do you want to stop? No. Do you want to tell your side? And say what? Actually, my sister forged my signature and stole 40 grand? They'll just say I'm lying, or that I should forgive her because family. So what do you want to do? I picked up my phone and called Samir. I saw the post, he said before I could speak. Can we accelerate the timeline? We can. But Mary, if we push harder, they'll push back harder. Ross is already talking about countersuing for emotional damages. On what grounds? Does it matter? It'll tie us up in court for months, cost you more in legal fees, drag this out until after the baby's born and I look even worse. Exactly. I looked at Jake. He nodded. Do it anyway, I said. File everything, fraud charges included. I want them to understand what they've done. You're sure? They stole from me, lied to me, and now they're trying to destroy my reputation. Yeah, Samir, I'm sure. All right. I'll have the papers ready by tomorrow. He paused. Mary, once we do this, there's no going back. Good, I said. I'm done going back. The process server delivered the papers on a Tuesday morning. Ciara was 3 days from her due date. My mother called within the hour. Emergency family dinner. Tonight, my house. You will be there. Mom, I don't care what you think. You will be there, or you're no longer my daughter. She hung up. Jake offered to come with me. I told him no. This was something I had to face alone. Everyone was already there when I arrived. Mom, Kiara, Ross, Aunt Helen, and surprisingly, my 17-year-old cousin, Sierra. Ciara sat on the couch, her hand on her massive belly, looking like a Renaissance painting of suffering. Ross stood behind her, his hand on her shoulder, protective, united. Sit down, Mary, Mom said. I remained standing. Fine. Stand. Mom crossed her arms. Do you want to explain what you're doing to your pregnant sister? I'm enforcing a legal agreement. You're trying to make us homeless. Kiara's voice cracked. I could go into labor any day, and you're threatening to take our house. The house I co-signed for. The house you promised to refinance me off of. The house you used to steal $40,000. Ross stepped forward. We didn't steal anything. That was equity. We had a right to access it. Not without my consent. Not by forging my signature. Forging? Mom's voice went shrill. Now you're accusing them of forgery? Mary, do you hear yourself? I have the documents. Samir has the handwriting analysis. They committed fraud. It was a mistake. Ciara struggled to stand. Ross helped her up. The mortgage company sent the wrong forms. We thought you'd already signed. It was an honest mistake. An honest mistake that bought Ross a Tesla? The room went quiet. You bought a Tesla? Mom turned to Ross. It's for work, he said quickly. I need reliable transportation for client meetings. What clients? I asked. You work from home doing IT consulting. You've worked from home for 3 years. That's not... You don't know what I know you spent $25,000 of money you stole from me on a car you didn't need. Ciara started crying, big heaving sobs. See what she's doing? She's attacking Ross now. She's trying to destroy our marriage because she doesn't have one. Shara, that's enough, Aunt Helen said quietly. No, it's not enough. Kira pointed at me. She's been jealous of me our entire lives. Jealous that I'm pretty. Jealous that I found love. Jealous that I'm having a baby. And now she's using some technicality to punish us for being happy. Technicality? I kept my voice level. You forged my signature. You violated our agreement. You've been making me pay half a mortgage on a house I don't live in while you spend money you don't have. We were going to pay you back. When? After you spent it all on Instagram photo shoots and designer baby clothes? Sierra laughed. Actually laughed. Everyone turned to look at her. Sorry, she said, not sounding sorry at all. It's just funny. Tiara posts about her blessed life and manifesting abundance when Aunt Mary is literally funding it. Sierra, stay out of this, Mom snapped. Why? Everyone else gets to talk. Sierra looked at me. I think Aunt Mary is right. Kiara's been using her for years. I have not. You literally called her your emergency bank last Christmas. I was there. Kiara's face flushed. I was joking. Like you were joking at the gender reveal when you said she'd die alone? Sierra pulled out her phone. Because I have that on video. Want me to post it? Show your followers what you really think of family? You wouldn't dare. Sierra shrugged. Try me. Enough. Mom slammed her hand on the table. This family is falling apart, and it's your fault, Mary. All of this is your fault. If you'd just been supportive instead of vindictive. I've been supportive for 38 years. I'm done. So you're going to throw away your family over money? No. They threw me away. I'm just making it official. Ross moved toward me. Mary, please. We made mistakes. We'll fix them. Just drop the lawsuit. We'll work something out. There's nothing to work out. The house goes up for sale. You find somewhere else to live. I get my money back. We don't have your money, Kiara screamed. It's gone. We spent it. Are you happy now? The room went silent again. You spent $40,000 in 4 months? Aunt Helen asked. Kiara's tears were real now. Panicked. We had expenses. The baby, the house, things you wouldn't understand. Try me, I said. We had to keep up appearances. For my brand, for sponsorships. She was hyperventilating. If people think we're struggling, we lose everything. You already lost everything, I said. You just don't know it yet. I walked toward the door. Ross followed me outside. Mary, wait. I turned. You don't have to do this, he said. We made a mistake. Please, don't punish the baby. I'm not punishing the baby. I'm holding you accountable. There's a difference. She could go into labor from the stress. If something happens, then you'll deal with it. Like adults. Like parents. I opened my car door. You should have thought about your baby before you stole from me. I drove away and didn't look back. My phone buzzed with a voicemail from Mom. You got what you wanted. Happy now? I wasn't. But I was done pretending that mattered. Sierra sent me the photos at midnight. Screenshots of Kira's private Instagram stories. The ones only her close friends could see. The ones she thought were safe. Professional maternity photos on a beach at sunset. Ciara in a flowing gown that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. Hair and makeup by artists whose handles were tagged. Location, Malibu. The shoot I'd paid for. With the $5,000 check meant for the nursery. Thought you should see where your money went, Sierra's text said. She posted these the day after the gender reveal, before she took them down. I forwarded everything to Samir. His response came immediately. This is good. Really good. Judges don't like liars. Kira went into labor 2 days later. 36 hours of it, according to the family group chat I was still somehow part of. Mom, Kira's in active labor. Pray for her. Aunt Helen, sending love and strength. Ross, it's been 20 hours. They're talking about a C-section. Mom, this stress isn't helping. This situation isn't helping. I didn't respond. I turned off my notifications and went to work. Jake found me in my office at lunch, staring at my computer screen without seeing it. She had the baby, he said gently. Helen texted me. A girl. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. Everyone's healthy. Good. Mary, I mean it. I'm glad they're healthy. I'm not a monster. I never said you were. Everyone else is. I pulled up my email. Another message from a stranger who'd found my work address. The subject line, baby killer. I deleted it without reading. I've gotten 43 emails like this today. People telling me I'm evil, that I'm destroying an innocent child's life. They don't know the truth. The truth doesn't matter. Ciara's the pretty one with the baby. I'm the bitter career woman with the lawsuit. I closed my laptop. I'm the villain in this story no matter what I do. Jake sat on the edge of my desk. Do you want to stop? Everyone keeps asking me that. Because we're worried about you. Don't be. I'm fine. You're not sleeping. You're barely eating. I'm finishing what they started. I stood up. They made me the villain? Fine. I'll be the villain. At least villains get things done. Aunt Helen called that evening. I almost didn't answer. I'm not here to lecture you, she said. I'm here to tell you something your mother won't. What? Your father would be proud of you. I hadn't expected that. My throat tightened. Dad would hate this. He always said family was everything. He also said that respect goes both ways, that love without boundaries is just enabling. Helen's voice was soft. He told me once, near the end, that he worried about you, that Denise babied Ciara too much, that you'd spend your whole life taking care of everyone else and forget to take care of yourself. He said that. He made me promise to look out for you, to remind you that cutting ties doesn't mean guilt. Sometimes it means survival. I sat down on my couch, my vision blurring. I miss him, I whispered. I know, sweetheart, but he's not here. And the people who are here, they're using you. They've been using you, and you're finally doing something about it. It doesn't feel good. It's not supposed to. That's how you know you're not like them. Ross's lawyer sent a letter the next day, threatening to sue for emotional damages, claiming the stress of the lawsuit caused complications during delivery, demanding I drop all charges immediately. Samir called me laughing. They can't do this, he said. They forged documents. They committed fraud. You can't sue someone for holding you accountable for crimes you committed. So it's just a scare tactic. A bad one. If anything, this makes them look desperate. He paused. Mary, I have to ask. They're going to play the baby card hard. New mother, newborn, no place to go. Are you prepared for how this looks? They should have thought about that before they spent $40,000 on a car and photo shoots. I know, but optics, I don't care about optics anymore. I care about justice. Justice and revenge aren't the same thing. Maybe not, but right now, they feel close enough. That night, I went through my phone, deleted my mother's number, left the family group chat, blocked Kira and Ross on everything. Jake watched me from the kitchen doorway. Burning bridges? He asked. Burning bridges implies there was something worth crossing back to. I tossed my phone on the couch. There wasn't. There never was. He came over and wrapped his arms around me. I let myself lean into him, let myself feel the weight of what I was doing. I'm not a good person, I said into his chest. You're not a doormat. There's a difference. Is there? Yeah. Good people can set boundaries. Good people can say no. Good people can walk away from toxicity. He pulled back to look at me. You're not destroying them, Mary. They destroyed themselves. You're just refusing to go down with the ship. I wanted to believe him. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You're destroying a child's life before she's even named. I hope you can live with yourself. I showed it to Jake. Block it, he said. I did, but the word stayed with me long after the screen went dark. The house hit the market on a Wednesday. By Thursday, it was everywhere. Someone leaked the listing to a gossip forum, then Twitter, then TikTok. The Zillow photos went viral. The pristine kitchen, the nursery with its empty crib, the backyard where the gender reveal had happened. The caption that spread fastest: influencer's sister forcing sale of home days after baby born. Full story in comments. My work phone rang off the hook. Reporters, bloggers, someone from a podcast about family drama. I ignored them all, until one email stood out. Ms. Mary, my name is Rebecca. I'm a journalist with the Herald. I've been following your story, and I'd like to offer you the chance to tell your side. No ambush, no tricks, just the truth. Please consider it. I forwarded it to Samir. Don't do it, he said immediately. Anything you say can be twisted. They're already twisting everything. At least this way people hear from me. Mary, I'm doing the interview. Rebecca met me at a coffee shop downtown. She was younger than I expected, maybe 30, with kind eyes and a recorder she placed on the table between us. Thank you for meeting me, she said. I know this must be difficult. You have no idea. Walk me through it, from the beginning. So I did. The co-signing, the promises, the refinance, the forged signature, the $40,000 spent on luxury items while I made mortgage payments. Rebecca took notes, occasionally asking clarifying questions. Your sister claims this is about jealousy, she said, that you can't handle her happiness. My sister's good at playing victim. She's had 32 years of practice. That's harsh. It's honest. I met her eyes. I loved Kiara. I would have done anything for her. I did do everything for her. And she repaid me by stealing from me, lying about me and trying to destroy my reputation when I finally said no. She has a newborn. I know, I'm not heartless, but having a baby doesn't erase fraud. It doesn't erase theft. And it doesn't mean I have to keep letting her use me. Rebecca nodded slowly. What do you want people to know? That boundaries aren't cruelty. That saying no to family doesn't make you a monster. That sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones who share your blood. I paused. And that I'm done apologizing for refusing to be a doormat. The article published Saturday morning, fair, balanced. It included Ciara's side, but it also included the court documents, the forged signature, the spending records. The comments section exploded. Okay, I was Team Shira until I saw those bank statements. A Tesla? She forged her sister's signature, and people are mad at the sister? Make it make sense. This is why you never mix family and money. Both of them are wrong. The baby is the real victim here. My phone buzzed. Jake. Have you seen Ciara's Instagram? I opened it. Her latest post was a photo of her baby, face obscured, with a long caption. I never wanted it to come to this. I never wanted our private family matters to become public. But since my sister has chosen to air our struggles, I need to speak my truth. Yes, we made mistakes with paperwork. Yes, we accessed equity in our home. But we were always planning to make things right. We never expected Mary to respond with such cruelty, to force us out of our home while I recover from childbirth, to traumatize our newborn daughter. I'm sharing this because I want people to understand money isn't everything. Family should be. But some people care more about being right than being kind. Pray for us. The comments were vicious. Your sister is evil. Sue her for everything. That baby deserves better than an aunt like that. But mixed in were others. Girl, you forged her signature. That's a crime. Our home that she co-signed for? Interesting. Why didn't you refinance like you promised? Ciara commented. Maybe tell them about the Malibu photo shoot you spent the nursery money on. Or is that not part of your truth? Ciara deleted the comment within minutes, but screenshots were already circulating. That afternoon, the sponsorship deal started falling apart. A baby brand dropped Ciara, then a clothing company, then a wellness tea that had been her biggest partnership. Ross called me. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. You're destroying us. Our income is gone. We can't afford rent anywhere. You're making our daughter homeless. Is this what you wanted? Are you happy now? I saved the voicemail. Sent it to Samir. He's trying to guilt you, Samir said. Don't fall for it. I'm not. But Jake asked me something earlier. What? If this is justice or just pain redistributed? Samir was quiet for a moment. Does it matter? I don't know. Maybe it should. Mary, listen to me. You didn't create this situation. They did. You're not responsible for the consequences of their choices. Then why does it feel like I am? Because you're a good person, and good people feel guilty even when they shouldn't. He paused. But feeling guilty doesn't mean you're wrong. Jake found me that night on my balcony, staring at the city lights. Talk to me, he said. I thought this would feel better, taking control, standing up for myself, but it just feels empty. Revenge usually does. Is that what this is? Revenge? I don't know. Is it? I thought about Kira's face at the family dinner, Ross's desperate voicemail, the baby who never asked to be born into this mess. I wanted them to understand what they did to me, I said. I wanted them to feel what I felt. And do they? I don't know. I don't think they're capable of it. Jake pulled me close. Then maybe this isn't about them anymore. Maybe it's about you deciding what you're worth. What am I worth? More than they ever gave you credit for. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number, another message. I turned it off without looking. The house sold in 3 weeks. Below market value because of the drama, but enough to clear the mortgage and give me back most of what I was owed. Samir called with the closing date. 2 weeks. They need to be out by the 15th. And if they're not, Sheriff's Department handles the eviction. It won't come to that. You'd be surprised what people do when they're desperate. I drove by the house once. Just once. I don't know why. A moving truck sat in the driveway. Ross carried boxes while Kiara sat on the porch steps, the baby in her arms, scrolling through her phone. She looked thin, exhausted, nothing like the glowing influencer from her photos. She looked up. Our eyes met. I drove away. The final confrontation happened at the title company. Neutral ground, lawyers present. Ciara arrived in leggings and an oversized sweatshirt, her hair in a messy bun. No makeup. The baby strapped to her chest in a carrier. Ross walked beside her, his jaw tight. We sat on opposite sides of the table, signed papers in silence, until Ciara spoke. I hope you're proud of yourself. I didn't look up. Sign the documents, Kara. You ruined our lives. You took our home. You destroyed my career. You made our daughter homeless. Her voice cracked. All because you couldn't stand seeing me happy. I set down my pen, looked at her directly. You did this, not me. We made one mistake. You made dozens of mistakes. You forged my signature. You stole $40,000. You spent money meant for your daughter on photo shoots and cars. You lied to me, used me, and then tried to destroy my reputation when I finally said no. I kept my voice level. You ruined your own life, Kara. I just stopped letting you ruin mine. We're family. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't treat people like ATMs and then act shocked when the money runs out. Ross leaned forward. We were going to pay you back. When? After you spent it all? After you refinanced again without telling me? After you bought another Tesla? I slid the final document across the table. Sign it. Move on. Build your life without using mine as the foundation. Kiara's tears were real now. Ugly crying. The baby started to fuss. We have nowhere to go, she whispered. Mom won't take us in. We can't afford rent anywhere decent. We're going to end up in some apartment in a bad neighborhood because of you. No, because of you. Because you chose Instagram likes over financial stability. Because you chose appearances over honesty. Because you chose to steal from the one person who always helped you. I'm your sister. You were my sister. Past tense. I stood up. Sign the papers, Kara, or don't. Either way, this is over. She signed, shaking, sobbing. But she signed. Ross signed too, his face red with barely contained rage. You know what? He said, as I gathered my things. You're going to end up alone, bitter and alone. And when you're old and dying, you'll realize that being right wasn't worth losing your family. I paused at the door, turned back. I already lost my family. Years ago. I just finally stopped pretending I hadn't. Outside, Jake waited in his car. Jake waited hints. I slid into the passenger seat and closed my eyes. Done? He asked. Done. How do you feel? Empty? Relieved? Guilty? Angry? All of it at once. He took my hand. That's normal. Is it? You just cut off your sister, your mom, most of your family. That's not supposed to feel good. Then why did I do it? Because staying would have felt worse. We sat in silence for a moment. Ross tried one last manipulation, I said. Suggested we work something out. Like I'd magically forget everything and hand them money. What did you say? That I already worked something out. It's called escrow. Jake laughed. Actually laughed. That's cold. Good. I'm done being warm to people who treat me like a space heater. My phone buzzed, a voicemail from my mother. I almost deleted it without listening. But something made me press play. Her voice was cold, clipped. You got what you wanted, Mary. Your sister is homeless. Your niece is living in a one-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood with bars on the windows. Ross had to sell his car. Ciara's career is destroyed. Happy now? I hope it was worth it. Because you're dead to me. Don't call. Don't visit. Don't show up at holidays. You made your choice. Live with it. The message ended. Jake looked at me. Mary, take me home, I said. Please, just take me home. He drove. I stared out the window at the city passing by, at the life I'd built, the life I'd fought for, the life that suddenly felt very, very quiet. That night, I stood in my condo, my beautiful, paid-off, perfectly decorated condo. Everything in its place, everything clean, everything mine. And I never felt more alone in my life. Jake came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist. You did the right thing, he whispered. Did I? Yes. Then why does it hurt so much? Because you love them, and they didn't love you back. Not the way you deserved. I turned in his arms, let myself cry, really cry, for the family I'd lost, for the sister I'd never really had, for the mother who'd chosen favorites and destroyed both her daughters in different ways. It's over, Jake said. It's finally over. He was right. But over didn't feel like victory. It just felt like ending. The job offer came from a firm in Seattle. Better position, better pay, 1,000 miles from everything that had happened. Take it, Jake said when I showed him the email. Fresh start. What about you? I'm coming with you, if you'll have me. I looked at him, really looked at him, the man who'd stood by me through all of it, who'd never once told me to back down or be the bigger person, who'd seen me at my worst and stayed anyway. Yeah, I said, I'll have you. We gave notice the next week. Packing up my condo felt like shedding skin. Each box was a piece of the life I'd built alone, the life I'd defended, the life that was finally completely mine. Aunt Helen came by to say goodbye. She brought coffee and sat on my couch while I wrapped dishes. Your mother asked about you yesterday, she said. What did you tell her? That you're moving, that you're happy, that she made her choice and now she has to live with it. How did she take it? About as well as you'd expect. Lots of talk about ungrateful daughters and family loyalty. Helen sipped her coffee. She's miserable, Mary. Sarah calls her constantly, complaining about money. Ross is working 2 jobs and still can't make ends meet. The baby cries all night. It's everything Denise wanted for Kara, and it's making her absolutely miserable. Good. Is it? I stopped packing. You think I should feel bad? I think you're allowed to feel however you feel, but I also think holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. That's fair. She set down her coffee. Your father used to say that the hardest part of being an adult is realizing your parents are just people. Flawed people who make mistakes. Mom didn't make a mistake. She made a choice. She chose Kira over me every single time. I know. And that's on her, not you. Helen stood and hugged me. Be happy, sweetheart. That's the best revenge there is. Sierra showed up the day before the move. She had her driver's license now, a beat-up Honda, and a determination I recognized. I'm not here to guilt trip you, she said. I'm here to say thank you. For what? For showing me what boundaries look like, for proving that you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. She handed me an envelope. I got into college. Full ride. I'm leaving too. Sierra, that's amazing. I learned from the best. She smiled. Sierra called me last week, asked if I could lend her money. I said no. She called me selfish. I said I learned from my aunt. I laughed. Actually laughed. What did she say? Nothing. She hung up, but Mary? It felt good. Saying no felt really, really good. It gets easier. Does it? Yeah. Eventually you stop feeling guilty for having boundaries. You start feeling guilty for not having them sooner. She hugged me tight. Don't be a stranger, okay? Text me. Call me. Let me know you're happy. I will. Promise? Promise. The moving truck left on a Tuesday. Jake and I followed in my car, the dog we'd adopted last month sleeping in the back seat. Somewhere in Oregon, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. This is Tiara. I know you blocked me. I'm using a friend's phone. I just wanted to say, you were right about everything. We were using you. I was using you. And I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I needed you to know. I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a long time. Jake glanced over. Everything okay? Shara apologized. Wow, what are you going to do? I thought about it. About the years of hurt, the betrayal, the public humiliation, the family I'd lost. Then I thought about the life I was driving toward, the man beside me, the dog in the back seat, the job waiting for me, the home we'd build together. I deleted the message. Nothing, I said. I'm going to do nothing. You sure? Yeah. She doesn't get closure. She doesn't get absolution. She gets to live with what she did, just like I had to live with what she did to me. Jake reached over and squeezed my hand. That's fair. Is it? I think so. Some apologies come too late. Some bridges burn too hot to rebuild. We stopped for lunch at a diner with red vinyl booths and waitresses who called everyone Hawn, the kind of place that felt like it existed outside of time. You okay? Jake asked over burgers and fries. I think so. I didn't need to destroy their home. They did that the first time they devalued me. I just handed them the mirror. And now? Now I'm building my own home. No smoke, no mirrors, no apologies. He smiled. I like the sound of that. Me too. My phone buzzed again. Sierra this time. You taught me that family is how people treat you, not who you're born to. Thank you for being brave enough to walk away. I hope Seattle is everything you deserve. I showed Jake the message. She's a good kid, he said. She is. She's going to be okay. So are you. Yeah, I said, looking out at the highway stretching ahead. I really think I am. We finished lunch, got back in the car, drove toward a city I'd never seen, toward a life I'd chosen, toward a future that was finally, completely mine. And somewhere behind me, in a city I'd never returned to, my family was learning what it cost to lose someone who'd always been there. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I was already home.
Thanksgiving was always my favorite holiday. Maybe it was the idea of family coming together, or maybe it was just the food. I'll admit, I've never been able to resist my mom's sweet potato casserole. But last Thanksgiving was different. It was the day everything changed for me. I wish I could say I was surprised, but I think I always saw it coming. My name is Madison Turner. I was 34 last November, a single mom to my 7-year-old son, Jamie. I'd always been the black sheep of the family, at least according to my dad. My parents' house in Charleston, South Carolina, was the picture of old American tradition. Big wraparound porch, heavy oak furniture, and family pictures from every year since 1982 lining the hallway. The kind of place that always smelled like cinnamon and pine this time of year. Maybe that's why I kept going back, even when it felt like I didn't belong. That Thanksgiving, the house was full. My brother Lucas and his wife Olivia had driven down from Charlotte, bringing their twins, Amelia and Jack, who were 5 and already better at making a mess than any adults I knew. Mom had spent all morning fussing over the table, putting out her best china, and making sure everyone had a spot. The fireplace was crackling, the air thick with the smell of roasting turkey, but something was off. I felt it as soon as I walked in. There were tight smiles and glances, like everyone was waiting for a shoe to drop. We all sat down to dinner around 3 o'clock. Jamie was in his best collared shirt, but by the time we got through grace, he had already managed to drop a blob of cranberry sauce on it. I couldn't help but smile. He always did his best, but he was still just a kid. I helped him get settled at the little card table off to the side, then took my place next to Mom at the big table. The conversation was forced, awkward. Olivia talked about the twins' soccer practice. Lucas bragged about his new promotion at the bank. Dad mostly grunted in response, staring down at his plate. I tried to join in, telling a funny story about Jamie and his latest adventure with a neighbor's dog, but nobody laughed. Mom just glanced nervously at Dad. The tension grew with every passing minute. I tried to focus on Jamie, watching him quietly play with his toy truck under the table, rolling it back and forth on the rug. The twins were giggling at some private joke, and Lucas kept looking at his phone, probably checking sports scores. For a while, I managed to tune out the discomfort, reminding myself that I'd been through worse. I could get through this too. But then it happened. My dad suddenly slammed his fist down on the table, hard enough that the silverware rattled and Mom's wine glass tipped over, spilling red across the white tablecloth. The room went silent. My heart started pounding, but I stayed perfectly still. Dad stood up and glared right at me. "You are a disgrace, Madison. A single mom. Why can't you just get it together like everyone else?" His voice was louder than I'd ever heard it, echoing off the walls. For a second, nobody moved. Olivia's eyes went wide, and even Lucas looked uncomfortable. Jamie paused mid-play, sensing something was wrong, and looked up at me with those big brown eyes. I could feel the blood rush to my face, but I forced myself to breathe. It wasn't the first time Dad had lost his temper with me, but never in front of everyone like this. He kept going, louder now, as if he wanted the neighbors to hear. "We gave you everything, and you just throw it away. You could have had a normal life, but you chose this. You embarrass us every time you walk through that door." I glanced at Mom, hoping for support, but she just looked down at her lap, twisting her napkin in her hands. No one said a word. Lucas opened his mouth as if to say something, but then closed it again, eyes fixed on his untouched mashed potatoes. I thought about all the times I'd helped them. The secret payments on their mortgage, the anonymous checks for Lucas's law school, the new car in Dad's driveway that he bragged about to his friends. None of them knew the truth. They all thought Dad's pension from his years at the power company paid for everything. It stung, but I realized I was done hiding. Dad's face turned redder as he leaned in, pointing a shaking finger at me. "Get out. You're not welcome in this house anymore. Not until you fix your life and stop dragging this family down with you." I stood up, steadying my voice. My hands were shaking, but I didn't let it show. "All right," I said quietly. There was nothing else to say. I looked at Jamie, who was starting to tear up, and gently scooped him into my arms. He clung to me, confused and frightened, but I whispered in his ear that everything would be okay. I grabbed our coats from the hall closet, slipping his arms into his little puffy jacket, and picked up my purse. No one moved to stop me. No one said goodbye. As I walked out the front door, the cold November air hit my face. I walked down the porch steps, my heels clicking on the wood, and out to the car I'd parked by the curb. Jamie was quiet, holding tight to his toy truck. I buckled him into his booster seat, took one last look at the house, and realized something strange. I wasn't sad. Not really. I felt free. They didn't know it, but the whole world they lived in was built on the money I earned. The house, the cars, even the food on the table. They all came from my work, from my $94 million empire that none of them had ever bothered to ask about. For years, I'd let them believe I was a failure just because it was easier. But now, as I drove away from the only family I'd ever known, I felt a sense of relief. Thanksgiving was supposed to be about family. That day, I learned it was about finding the strength to walk away when family no longer feels like home. The truth is, my family never really knew me at all. Even when I lived under the same roof as them, or visited for holidays and birthdays, I always felt like I was a stranger wearing a borrowed name. I could see it in the way my mother would glance at me when I laughed a little too loudly or told a story about my work. I saw it in my brother's awkward, forced questions, always polite, never curious. To them, I was just the messy one, the mistake maker, the girl who never quite fit into the mold of what a Turner was supposed to be. I was the woman who came home with a baby but no husband, the one with too many ideas and not enough explanations. But what my family didn't realize, or maybe didn't care to realize, was that every late-night email, every business call I took at odd hours, and all those suspicious trips to New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles were not escapes from responsibility. They were the building blocks of something extraordinary. I had learned to hide my ambition early, to tuck it away where nobody could criticize it or poke holes in it. My world was quiet from the outside, but inside, it buzzed with secret plans and endless energy. It all started 5 years ago, in a tiny, drafty apartment on the edge of Denver. I was 29, newly single, a baby on the way, and just enough money in my account to pay rent for 2 more months. On a rainy Saturday, sitting at my kitchen table with a secondhand laptop and a notebook full of scribbles, I opened my first online business, a digital marketplace for independent American artists and designers. I called it Blue Harbor, after a place I'd once dreamed of seeing, and poured everything I had into making it real. I taught myself website design, wrote product descriptions late into the night, and begged local artists to let me represent their work. The first year was hard. Some days, I barely made enough to pay for diapers and groceries. I would work through the night, my fingers stiff on the keyboard while Jamie slept in a crib by my desk. I learned to stretch every dollar, to do things myself that most people would hire out for. I watched YouTube tutorials about marketing, customer service, and taxes, and I made every mistake in the book. But failure didn't scare me. Going back to my old life did. Slowly, things began to change. Word spread. A popular lifestyle blog featured Blue Harbor, and suddenly, orders poured in. I reinvested every cent I made, upgrading the website, hiring 2 part-time assistants, and expanding into custom home goods. Before long, I was fielding requests from New York and Los Angeles. Big retailers started reaching out, asking if I'd consider partnerships. I always negotiated fiercely, determined to keep control. For once, I trusted my instincts. Within 3 years, Blue Harbor was not just a passion project. It was a full-fledged empire. I signed deals with tech giants in America who wanted exclusive rights to some of our digital art prints for their offices. Fashion brands in Europe, especially in Paris and London, wanted to collaborate on capsule collections. I flew out to meetings in glass skyscrapers and old European townhouses, always pretending I was just another freelancer, never the boss. My net worth soared until last year. It reached $94 million, all in US dollars. Sometimes I'd stare at the bank statement, still half convinced it was a mistake. But I never changed my life surface. I kept my old SUV, wore jeans and cardigans, and still answered calls from my mom like I was a girl in her pajamas. I bought the family house in Charleston outright, so my mother could stop worrying about the mortgage, but I did it quietly, letting her believe it was an anonymous benefactor from my dad's church group. I sent Lucas a check each month, enough to pay for his law school loans and then some, but always from a shell company, so he never questioned it. Even their trips to Paris, the one Lucas bragged about every Christmas, were paid for by me. My accountant handled it all, making sure no one would ever connect the dots. Looking back, maybe I should have told them. Maybe it would have changed the way they saw me. But the truth is, none of them ever bothered to ask where the money came from. They just assumed Dad's old pension covered it, or that maybe Lucas had friends at the bank. I let them believe whatever they wanted, partly out of habit, partly because I was tired of being dismissed. That's why, after that Thanksgiving, when I got home to my apartment, my real home, not the one full of judgment and secrets, I felt more angry than sad. Jamie was asleep in the back seat, his cheeks still streaked with tears from the chaos. I tucked him into bed, then sat down at my laptop, my hands steady for the first time all day. I opened my financial dashboard, scrolling through the dozens of transactions that propped up my family's lives. The mortgage payment for Charleston, the direct transfers to Lucas, the utilities and insurance for Mom, the maintenance bills for Dad's car. Their whole world was built on my work, my sacrifices, and yet I was still their biggest disappointment. I stared at the numbers for a long time, remembering every birthday I spent alone, every holiday dinner where I was the punchline. Slowly, I started to cancel things. I stopped the mortgage payments, turned off Lucas's automatic deposits, and ended the allowance Mom received each month. I emailed my lawyer, instructing her to rescind access to the family trust. I called the bank and had Dad's card deactivated. My hands didn't shake once. It felt cold at first, but as I worked through the list, a new feeling grew inside me, something like freedom. For years, I'd been the silent benefactor, the invisible engine behind their lives, but I realized it was time to be visible, to live on my terms. No more free rides. No more silence. When I finished, I closed the laptop and looked around my quiet, sunlit living room. Jamie's shoes were by the door, his drawings taped to the fridge. For the first time in years, I felt like I belonged somewhere, right there in the life I had built myself. And I knew that whatever came next, I would face it with my head held high. I don't remember much about the flight to Honolulu, only that I booked it the minute I finished cutting off my family's endless supply of money and support. I wanted a place where no one knew my name or my story, a place where the only thing anyone expected of me was to show up and breathe. I needed the ocean. I needed the sun. Most of all, I needed peace. The beach house was waiting for me like an old friend. I'd bought it 2 years ago, just after Blue Harbor really took off, telling my family it was for business travel and pretending it was a modest little condo near the airport. In reality, it was nothing short of breathtaking, a modern glass front house right on the sand, with tall windows that opened up to the endless blue of the Pacific and floors that seemed to glow in the sunlight. Palm trees lined the edges of the property, their fronds swaying gently in the ocean breeze. I had always dreamed of a home like this, serene, open, and utterly mine. Jamie was sleepy when we landed, his small head nodding against my shoulder as we rode from the airport. But when we arrived at the house and he saw the ocean, he lit up like Christmas morning.
Mom.
"There's sand right outside the door," he squealed. His joy was contagious. For a while, I let myself just watch him, letting his excitement fill the space where my happiness used to be. He ran circles around the living room, threw open every door, and finally tumbled onto the back patio, where the beach stretched out in front of us like an invitation. The first morning, we woke to sunlight streaming through the glass. I brewed coffee and watched Jamie as he pressed his nose to the window, staring at the waves. "Can we go outside?" he asked, his voice small but hopeful. I nodded, still in my pajamas, and we carried our breakfast out to the deck. I wrapped myself in a blanket, eating toast while Jamie dug his toes into the sand and started building his very first sandcastle. No one was there to judge me for being in pajamas at 9 o'clock in the morning, or for letting my son get sandy before breakfast. There was just the soft hiss of the surf, the warmth of the sun, and Jamie's laughter, echoing across the empty beach. Later that day, we walked along the shore, collecting shells and smooth stones. Jamie chased after seagulls, shrieking with delight every time they took flight. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt something inside me unclench. I didn't have to perform. I didn't have to apologize. I didn't have to worry about anyone's expectations but my own. Now and then, I caught myself smiling for no reason, and the feeling was so foreign that it made me laugh. At night, after Jamie was asleep, his hair still smelling of salt and sunshine, I would sit on the balcony with a glass of wine. The air was thick with the scent of hibiscus and plumeria, and the ocean's endless song was a comfort I hadn't known I needed. I'd watch the sun sink into the water, painting the sky in purples and golds, and think about all the years I'd spent living for everyone but myself. I thought about the sacrifices I'd made, the nights I'd stayed up working, the moments I'd missed with Jamie, the pieces of myself I'd given away for the sake of keeping peace. But here, in this house, with nothing but the stars and the ocean to answer to, I began to remember who I was. Not just Jamie's mother, not just the family scapegoat or the secret millionaire, but a woman with dreams and desires of her own. I started writing again, short stories and poems that had lived in my head for years, dreams that I'd set aside while building my business and caring for my son. My laptop became my new companion after dark, the words spilling out of me like water. Some nights I wrote about heartbreak. Some nights I wrote about hope. I wrote about the girl I used to be and the woman I was becoming. As the days passed, I also began to think about how I could use my freedom to help others. I kept coming back to the idea that had haunted me since Jamie was born. The knowledge that there were millions of women out there just like me, struggling to raise children on their own, feeling ashamed and unsupported. I remembered the loneliness, the fear, the way the world seemed to close ranks against single mothers. I wanted to do something, anything, to make it better for someone else. So, one afternoon, with the sound of Jamie's laughter drifting in through the open door, I sat down and started sketching out a plan for a charity. I called it Harbor of Hope, a place for single mothers to find support, resources, and encouragement without judgment. I decided to start with a fund of $1 million, enough to make a real difference. I made lists of programs I wanted to launch: emergency grants, legal aid, childcare support, scholarships for continuing education. I wrote emails to lawyers and financial advisors, asking how to set everything up the right way. Every decision felt empowering. For once, my money wasn't just rescuing people who took me for granted, it was building something good, something that would outlast me. The more I planned, the more excited I became. I could picture mothers and children who would never know my name, but who might have a little more hope because of what I had done. Jamie and I settled into our new rhythm. Mornings on the beach, afternoons of exploring the island or reading together on the porch, evenings full of laughter and easy conversation. The house filled with light and warmth in a way my childhood home never had. Sometimes I would pause and take it all in, the smell of the ocean, Jamie's hand in mine, the quiet certainty that, for the first time in my life, I was exactly where I was supposed to be. The pain of Thanksgiving still lingered in my memory, but out here, with the Pacific stretching endlessly before me, it felt far away. My family's voices faded with every crashing wave, replaced by the gentler, truer sound of my own. I realized I didn't need anyone's approval to feel whole. I only needed this: a little boy who loved me, a purpose I believed in, and the courage to finally live for myself. It was late afternoon when my phone rang. The sun was hanging low over the Pacific, painting my living room in gold and tangerine. Jamie was on the porch, his voice drifting through the open doors as he talked to the neighbor's golden retriever, his laughter bubbling into the salty air. For a while, I considered not answering the call. The number flashed Charleston, South Carolina, and I knew immediately that it was my mother. Part of me wanted to let it ring out, to hold on to the silence I'd earned so painfully. But old habits die hard, so I picked up. My mother's voice was thin and shaky, her southern accent thickening the way it always did when she was nervous or upset. "Madison, honey, we need help. The bank called. They say we're behind on the house payments. I don't know what happened. And your father? Well, he's not taking it well." I let her words wash over me, steady and unmoved. For years, I would have panicked at a call like this, feeling like it was my duty to rescue them, to smooth over every problem before it became a crisis. But now, something inside me had shifted. I sat down at the kitchen table and looked out at the ocean, breathing in the calm I had finally found. "Mom," I said gently, "I need you to listen to me. Really listen." There was a pause. She must have heard the firmness in my voice, the absence of desperation. "I paid for everything. The house, the bills, even the cars. You and Dad never knew, but for years I made it all possible. I did it because I love you and because I wanted you to be safe. But after what happened on Thanksgiving, after what Dad said, after you all made me feel like an embarrassment, I stopped feeling the old ache in my chest, but I forced myself to keep going. I realized I deserve better. I deserve respect, Mom. I'm not going to let anyone treat me like a failure when I built this entire family's safety." For a long moment, the only sound on the line was her breathing. Then, very softly, she began to cry. Not loud, just those small, broken sobs I remembered from when she lost her mother years ago. "Oh, Madison," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. We didn't know. I swear to you, if I'd known." I shook my head, even though she couldn't see me. "That's just it, Mom. You never asked. You never wanted to know my story. It was always about how I didn't measure up, how I made things harder. Even after everything I did, all the sacrifices, it was never enough to make you proud." My voice wavered for a moment, but I took a breath and steadied it. "I forgive you, Mom, but things have to change. I'm not your mistake to hide anymore. I'm your daughter, and I'm proud of what I've done." She sniffled on the other end, her words tumbling out in a rush. "Madison, please, let us make it right.
Come home.
Your father, he regrets it, I know he does. He's just stubborn, you know how he is. And Lucas, well, he says he never wanted you to leave like that. We need you. I need you." I closed my eyes and listened to the ocean outside, thinking of all the years I'd spent trying to fit into a family that never saw me for who I was. The old Madison might have rushed to forgive, to forget, to erase her pain for the sake of keeping everyone else comfortable. But I wasn't her anymore. I had found my peace, and I wasn't about to give it up, not even for a tearful apology. "Mom," I said quietly, "I love you. I'll always care about you. But I can't go back to how things were. I can't pretend I don't have value just because it's easier for everyone else. If you and Dad want me in your lives, it has to be on different terms. I won't be your secret shame. I won't let anyone talk down to me in my own family ever again." She was quiet, and for a moment I wondered if she would hang up. But then she said, her voice soft and raw, "You're right, Madison. You're absolutely right. I want you to be happy. I want to know you, the real you. I don't want to lose you again." I felt tears sting my eyes, but they weren't sad tears. They were the kind you cry when you realize you're finally free. After we hung up, I sat for a long time, watching the sky turn from gold to indigo. I thought about everything that had brought me here. The nights spent building Blue Harbor from nothing, the years of silent giving, the pain of being misunderstood and cast out. For so long, I had measured my worth by what I could do for others, by how small I could make myself, how invisible I could become. But now, I saw the truth clearly. My value wasn't in how much I gave or how quietly I endured. My value was in the life I had built, the child I was raising, the hope I was spreading to other women who needed it most. As the days passed, I kept in touch with my mother. Slowly, my relationship with my family began to change. It wasn't easy. My father sent a card, no grand apology, just a short note. We miss you. We're proud, even if we don't say it. It was more than I expected. Lucas called once, awkward but genuine, asking about Jamie and telling me about a new case at work. There were no grand gestures, no sudden transformation, but something had shifted. For the first time, they saw me, not just as the family's mistake, but as the strong, capable woman I had become. Back in Honolulu, I threw myself into my new life. Jamie and I continued our beachside adventures. Harbor of Hope launched its first grant program, and I started getting emails from mothers across America. Women I'd never met, telling me how much it meant to have someone believe in them. My days were full, my heart finally at peace. Sometimes, in the quiet evenings when Jamie was asleep and the world seemed to hold its breath, I would think about that Thanksgiving and the word I'd said as I walked out. All right. It was such a simple word, but it had changed everything. Sometimes, freedom is just one all right away, a promise to yourself that you will never again live small for the comfort of others. And so I live now, not as someone else's disappointment, but as my own proud, imperfect, extraordinary self. From my beach house in Honolulu, with the ocean whispering that I am enough, I finally believe it.
The sound of crystal glasses clinking and pretentious laughter drifted up from my restaurant's private dining room. I stood at the top of the stairs, frozen, as my mother-in-law Margaret's voice cut through the din like a serrated knife. Of course, I never pay here. It's my daughter-in-law's place, and family privilege means everything is on the house. I practically own half of it anyway, considering how much we helped them get started. My fingers tightened around the stack of invoices I'd been reviewing. The lies rolled off her tongue so smoothly, each one a perfectly crafted poison dart aimed at my reputation. I'm Bella, and this restaurant, every brick, every pan, every carefully crafted recipe, is mine. Built from 15 years of 12-hour shifts and burned fingers, not a single dime from the Thompson family fortune. Margaret, darling, you must tell us how you convinced her to use that divine truffle supplier, one of her society friends cooed. Oh, I simply insisted. The poor dear needed quite a bit of guidance in the beginning. Still does, really. The invoice paper crumpled in my grip. Below, their laughter swelled again, accompanied by the distinctive pop of another champagne bottle, my most expensive vintage, no doubt. My phone buzzed. A text from Ryan, Mom says she's entertaining some friends at the restaurant. Hope that's okay. Hope that's okay. Like I was some teenager asking permission to borrow the car, not a business owner being robbed blind by his mother. I started down the stairs, my heels clicking against each step with military precision. The sounds from the private dining room grew louder, Margaret holding court with her usual theatrical flair, dispensing my wine and my food like party favors while spreading lies about my competence. My hand rested on the door handle. Through the frosted glass, I could see their silhouettes, 6 or 7 women, all gesturing with wine glasses, all hanging on Margaret's every word. For 3 years, I'd swallowed my pride, played the dutiful daughter-in-law, let her sweep through my restaurant like she owned it. And really, Margaret's voice carried clearly now, it's fortunate I'm here to maintain standards. Left to her own devices. I pushed the door open. The conversation stuttered to a halt as heads turned toward me. Margaret's perfectly painted smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened to chips of ice. Bella, darling. I was just telling everyone about our little restaurant. Our little restaurant. Something snapped inside me, quiet but final, like a violin string pulled too tight. Actually, Margaret, I said, my voice steady despite the rage burning in my chest. I think it's time we discussed exactly whose restaurant this is. I slammed our bedroom door so hard the wedding photo fell off the wall. The frame cracked, a jagged line splitting between Ryan and me, fitting, really. You're being completely unreasonable, Ryan called through the door. Mom was just trying to be social. She brings valuable connections to the restaurant. Valuable connections? I yanked the door open. Your mother just cost me $3,000 in wine and food, not counting the damage she's doing to my reputation. Ryan stood there in his wrinkled t-shirt, shoulders hunched like they'd been since losing his job 3 months ago. She's trying to help, Bella. You know how influential her friends are in the restaurant scene. Help? My laugh came out harsh. By telling everyone she practically owns my restaurant? That I can't make decisions without her guidance? That's not what she meant. Then what did she mean, Ryan? Please, explain to me how your mother spreading lies about my business is helping. He ran his hands through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made my chest ache. You're taking this too personally. Mom's just proud of what we've built. We? The word tasted like acid. What exactly have you built, Ryan? Or your mother? Because I remember working doubles for 15 years to save up. I remember developing every recipe, hiring every staff member, dealing with every crisis, while you were at your cushy corporate job. His face darkened. That's low, Bella. You know I'm trying to find work. Are you? Because your mother told her friends you're taking a sabbatical to explore new opportunities. Is that what we're calling it now? Stop attacking my mother. His fist hit the wall, leaving a dent in the drywall. We both stared at it, shocked by the sudden violence. You know what? I grabbed my laptop from the bed. I'm going to the restaurant. I need to damage control your mother's latest performance. Bella, wait. And starting tomorrow, your mother pays full price like everyone else. If she has a problem with that, she can find somewhere else to hold court. You can't do that to her. I stopped at the doorway, turning to face my husband of 12 years. In that moment, he felt like a stranger. Watch me. If you do this, he said quietly, you're choosing business over family. No, Ryan. I'm choosing self-respect over manipulation. Maybe you should try it sometime. I left him standing there, my heels clicking against the hardwood like a countdown. In my car, I pulled up the security camera feed from the restaurant on my phone. Already, Margaret's society friends were posting about their complimentary lunch on social media, tagging the restaurant. Each notification felt like another nail in the coffin of my marriage. My phone buzzed, a text from Lisa, wine emergency at my place. Come now. For once, running away seemed like the sanest option. Lisa's laptop screen cast a harsh glow across her kitchen counter as she pulled up Henry's bank statements. My hands trembled around my third glass of wine. Holy shit, Lisa whispered, scrolling through the documents. These transfers to Margaret's personal account, they're astronomical. And look at the timing. I leaned closer, my chest tightening. Right after Ryan lost his job. And Henry has no idea? He trusts her completely. The wine turned bitter in my mouth. Just like Ryan trusts her. Lisa highlighted another transaction. $200,000 in the last 3 months alone. What's she doing with all this money? My phone buzzed, another Instagram notification. Margaret at some charity gala, dripping in new jewelry, captioned, supporting local artists while maintaining standards of excellence. Maintaining standards, I muttered, showing Lisa the post. That's her favorite phrase lately. Usually right before she tells me how to run my restaurant. Bella. Lisa's voice went serious. You have to tell Henry. And destroy my marriage? Ryan will never forgive me. Your marriage? Lisa slammed the laptop shut. Honey, your marriage was over the moment Ryan chose his mother's lies over your truth. The doorbell rang. Lisa checked her phone and swore. Shit. That's probably Mark with the kids. I forgot he's dropping them early. I should go anyway. I stood, steadying myself against the counter. Need to check on the restaurant. Wait. Lisa grabbed my arm. Promise me you'll think about telling Henry. This isn't just about your restaurant anymore. Margaret's stealing from her own husband. I'll think about it. Outside, I fumbled with my car keys, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. A text lit up my phone. Ryan, Mom's upset about what you said. We need to talk. Another notification popped up, a review of my restaurant, posted an hour ago. My heart stopped when I saw the byline, Oliver Grant, the city's most influential food critic. I'd had no idea he'd been in tonight. The review was brutal. While Carter's shows promise, it suffers from inconsistent standards and unclear vision. One wonders if the recent rumors of family interference. I didn't finish reading. Margaret's voice echoed in my head, maintaining standards. The timing couldn't be coincidence. She'd known Oliver was coming. Had to have known. And she'd made sure her little performance with her society friends happened on exactly the right day. My phone buzzed again. Henry this time. Bella, need to discuss some concerning bank statements. Can we meet privately? I stared at the message, my hand steady now. The wine buzz cleared, replaced by cold clarity. Margaret had finally overplayed her hand. Now I just had to decide what to do about it. The choice was simple, really. I could protect my family's feelings, or I could protect the truth. But I couldn't do both. The private booth at Marcello's felt like a confessional. Henry sat across from me, his usual commanding presence diminished by the stack of bank statements between us. His hand shook slightly as he turned each page. 200,000, he said quietly. In 3 months. I stared into my untouched espresso. I'm sorry, Henry. I shouldn't have. No. His voice hardened. You did exactly right. But there's something else you need to see. He pulled out another document, a loan application. My restaurant's name was at the top, along with Margaret's signature. My signature. Except I'd never seen this paper before. She's trying to take out a second mortgage on your restaurant, Henry said. Using my name as collateral. The room tilted. That's not possible. I never signed. Margaret has always been good with signatures. His smile was bitter. Ask Ryan about his college acceptance letter sometime. My phone buzzed. Ryan again, where are you? Mom's lawyer wants to discuss the restaurant's future direction. She's moving faster than I expected, Henry muttered, reading the text over my shoulder. Probably because of this. He slid a familiar envelope across the table, Oliver Grant's review. But this version was different from the one I'd seen. This was the original draft, before Margaret's family interference comments were added. Oliver's an old friend, Henry said. He called me this morning, quite upset about the unauthorized changes to his review. The pieces clicked together, Margaret's social media campaign, the fake loan documents, the doctored review. She wasn't just trying to control my restaurant. She was trying to destroy it. Why now? I asked. After all these years? Because Ryan lost his job. Henry's eyes met mine. And Margaret lost her access to his corporate accounts. She needs a new source of income to maintain her lifestyle. Your restaurant is profitable, visible, and vulnerable. The word tasted like ash. I'm meeting with my lawyer tomorrow, Henry said. But you need to decide what you want to do about Ryan. He's been helping her with some of this. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. My husband. My partner. The man who'd promised to stand by me through everything. My phone lit up again, a text from an unknown number. Miss Carter, Oliver Grant here. We should talk about your mother-in-law's interesting interpretation of my review. Perhaps over dinner? I looked up at Henry, seeing my own pain reflected in his eyes. We were both facing the same choice, protect the people we loved, or protect the truth. I need to make some calls, I said, standing. Starting with my lawyer. Henry nodded, understanding perfectly. Some bridges, once burned, light the way forward. Oliver Grant's office felt more like an interrogation room than a restaurant critic's workspace. He spread photos across his desk, Margaret at various charity events, all wearing different pieces of expensive jewelry. Your mother-in-law has expensive taste, he said, tapping one photo. This necklace alone is worth more than most people's annual salary. Henry's money, I said, but Oliver shook his head. That's the interesting part. He pulled up a spreadsheet. These purchases align perfectly with your restaurant's busiest nights. The nights when Margaret hosted her special events in your private dining room. My stomach lurched. She was selling the jewelry. Through your restaurant. Quite clever, really. High-end pieces, cash transactions disguised as expensive wine purchases. He paused. Your husband handled the books during those events, didn't he? The room spun. Ryan's voice echoed in my head, Mom's just trying to help. All those nights, he'd insisted on managing the private dining room himself. All those missing wine inventory reports. My phone buzzed, a text from Ryan, where are you? Mom's lawyer is getting impatient. I have more, Oliver said quietly. But you should know, Margaret's been reaching out to my colleagues. Trying to plant stories about health code violations, tax irregularities. She's trying to destroy me. No. Oliver's eyes met mine. She's trying to force you out so Ryan can take over. Make it look like mismanagement rather than theft. My phone buzzed again, Lisa this time, SOS. Margaret just walked into your restaurant with 2 health inspectors. I have to go. I stood, gathering the photos. Bella. Oliver caught my arm. There's something else. The jewelry? It's all fake. Margaret's been selling counterfeits to her society friends through your restaurant. The final piece clicked into place. Not just money laundering, but fraud. And Ryan had helped her do it. I'm running a story next week, Oliver said. But I wanted you to know first. You need to protect yourself. My phone lit up with another message, from Henry, Margaret's emptied our accounts. All of them. Including Ryan's trust fund. The walls closed in. My restaurant, my marriage, my life, all built on lies. And now Margaret was making her final move. I need your help, I told Oliver, my voice steady despite the rage burning through me. But first, I need to make a call. I dialed my lawyer's number, watching Margaret's smiling face in the charity photos. She thought she was winning, thought she'd finally broken me. But she'd forgotten something crucial. I'd built my restaurant from nothing once before. I could do it again. What I couldn't do was trust my husband ever again. The private dining room had never felt so suffocating. Margaret sat at the head of the table, resplendent in another piece of counterfeit jewelry, while Ryan hovered behind her like a guard dog. Henry's empty chair screamed accusation. Really, Bella, Margaret sighed, examining the stack of documents I'd placed before her. All this drama over a few business arrangements? Business arrangements? My voice didn't shake. Is that what we're calling fraud now? Ryan stepped forward. Bella, you're overreacting. Mom was just selling fake jewelry through my restaurant? I pulled out my phone, cued to a recording. Margaret's voice filled the room, of course it's authentic, darling. And such a bargain through my private collection. Margaret's perfectly manicured nails dug into the table. Where did you get that? Your buyers are very angry, Margaret. Especially the ones who tried to insure their purchases. You ungrateful little. The dining room door opened. Henry walked in, followed by 2 police officers. Henry? Margaret's voice went sharp. What are you doing? His job, I said quietly. As a member of the restaurant's board of directors. Ryan's face went pale. What's happening? What's happening is your mother's under investigation for fraud, Henry said. And you're an accomplice. You can't prove anything, Margaret snapped, but her hands trembled as she reached for her wine. Actually, Oliver Grant stepped in from the hallway, digital recorder in hand. We can prove quite a bit. Margaret's wine glass shattered against the wall. You planned this. You vindictive little climber. Mom, stop. Ryan's voice cracked. Please. Oh, now you grow a spine? I turned to my husband. After helping her steal from your own father? After letting her destroy everything we built? I didn't know. Liar. The word felt like acid. I saw the books, Ryan. The fake invoices. The missing inventory. You knew exactly what she was doing. The officers moved forward. Margaret's composure cracked completely. This is your fault. She lunged across the table, fingers curved like claws. You gold-digging witch. Ryan caught her, but not before she knocked over the evidence files. Photos scattered across the floor, Margaret's jewelry sales, Ryan's forged signatures, bank statements showing emptied accounts. I trusted you, Henry said quietly. Both of you. As the officers led Margaret away, Ryan reached for me. Bella, please. I can explain. I stepped back, watching my marriage die in slow motion. Explain what? How you helped her launder money through my restaurant. How you forged my signature on loan documents. How you. My phone buzzed, a news alert. Margaret's scheme was already breaking across social media. My restaurant's name featured prominently in every headline. I'm sorry, Ryan whispered. But sorry, couldn't rebuild a reputation. Sorry, couldn't restore trust. Sorry, couldn't save us. The courthouse hallway felt endless. Margaret's society friends huddled in clusters, whispering behind designer handbags as I walked past. Each face held the same mixture of betrayal and fury. The looks of women who'd discovered their precious jewelry was as fake as Margaret's smile. Ready? Oliver touched my elbow, steadying me. Before I could answer, Ryan appeared, looking haunted. Bella, please. Don't do this. Do what, Ryan? Tell the truth? She's my mother. And I was your wife. The past tense slipped out naturally. Didn't stop either of you from destroying everything I built. The courtroom doors opened. Margaret sat at the defendant's table, her perfect posture a stark contrast to her prison jumpsuit. Her eyes met mine, cold and calculating. Last chance, she said as I took the witness stand. Family should protect family. Like you protected Henry's money? Or Ryan's future? Her mask cracked. I gave Ryan purpose when you made him feel worthless. You made him an accomplice. I made him loyal. Her voice echoed through the courtroom. Something you never understood. Loyalty? I pulled out my phone, cued to a recording. Like this loyalty? Margaret's voice filled the silence. Ryan's pathetic, really. So desperate for mommy's approval, he'll sign anything. Just like his father. The color drained from Ryan's face. Margaret lunged forward, but her lawyer held her back. That's not, I never. Your Honor, Oliver stood, I'd like to submit evidence of similar recordings. Documenting Mrs. Thompson's systematic manipulation of both her son and her victims. You're ruining everything. Margaret's composure shattered completely. All my work, my reputation. Your reputation? One of her former friends stood up. What about our reputations? Our money? The courtroom erupted. Through the chaos, I watched Ryan, my husband of 12 years, finally seeing his mother clearly for the first time. I'm sorry, he mouthed, but not to Margaret. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Order. Mrs. Thompson, control yourself or. You ungrateful bitch. Margaret broke free, lunging toward me. I should have destroyed you when. Her words cut off as Henry stepped between us. Enough, Margaret. The silence that followed felt like a death knell. Mr. Thompson, the judge said quietly, would you like to make your statement now? Henry straightened his tie, every inch the respected businessman. Yes, Your Honor. And I'd like to start with an apology, to my daughter-in-law, to our friends, and to everyone my wife manipulated. Including our son. Margaret collapsed into her chair, finally defeated. Not by my revenge, but by the truth she'd tried so hard to bury. Sometimes karma doesn't need help. It just needs witnesses. The last box of Margaret's things sat unopened in my office. Through the restaurant window, I watched the morning delivery trucks arrive, the familiar rhythm of a new day starting. My day. My restaurant. Ready to open? Oliver adjusted his tie, looking more nervous than he had during the entire trial. Almost. I picked up the box. One last thing. The dumpster lid creaked as I lifted it. Inside the box, Margaret's prized collection of fake jewelry glittered dully, her last attempt at manipulation, left behind like a poisoned gift. You don't want to keep any of it? Oliver asked. As a reminder? Of what? How revenge tastes. I let the box fall. The crash was surprisingly satisfying. I prefer creating things to destroying them. My phone buzzed, Ryan's divorce lawyer with final paperwork updates. Below it, a message from Henry about the restaurant's upcoming board meeting. Life moving forward, one notification at a time. Speaking of creating, Oliver cleared his throat. My new review is running tomorrow. Already? My heart skipped. The restaurant's reputation had taken a hit during the trial, despite the sympathy press. I had to be objective. He handed me an advance copy. But I also had to be honest. The headline caught my eye, rising from the ashes, how betrayal forged a stronger kitchen. Oliver. Keep reading. My eyes scanned the text. Catching phrases like refined through adversity and authenticity in every dish. But it was the final paragraph that made me stop. In the end, Carter's greatest achievement isn't its innovative menu or impeccable service. It's the proof that integrity, like the finest recipes, requires both heat and patience to perfect. In exposing deception, owner Bella Carter didn't just save her restaurant, she redefined its core identity. Every dish now carries a simple promise: what you see is what you get. In today's world of carefully curated facades, such honesty tastes revolutionary. Too much? Oliver shifted uncomfortably. Before I could answer, the kitchen door opened. My head chef stuck his head out. Chef? The new menu tasting? Coming. I turned to Oliver. Stay for breakfast? I'm trying something new. Always. His smile held understanding. He'd told me about his own family's betrayal during the trial, the reason he became a critic, searching for authenticity in a world of pretense. The kitchen welcomed me with its morning chaos, steam rising, pans clattering, voices calling out prep lists. My domain. My truth. Chef? My sous chef held up a plate. Ready when you are. I tied on my apron, feeling its familiar weight. Some people collected scars. Some collected revenge. But me? I collected moments like these, creating something real in a world of fake jewelry and empty promises. Let's cook.
My $8,500 wedding cake was completely ruined, but strangely, it was the best money I ever spent. Why? Because right in the middle of that bright red mess was my own sister, seconds away from passing out. She had planned everything. On my wedding day, she secretly slipped something into my drink, hoping I would embarrass myself in front of my wealthy in-laws. She wanted me to look like a mess. I didn't stop her. I let her go ahead with her plan, but I made sure she paid a much bigger price. All it took was a small switch of glasses, a fake smile, and then I watched as my sister collapsed into the red velvet cake. That moment? It was the most satisfying thing I had ever seen. But to understand why she did this, you need to know our story. My name is Pamela. I'm 29 and work as a marketing director in Charleston. I've always been calm, practical, and in control of my life. My younger sister Sutton is the complete opposite. She calls herself an influencer, but honestly, she spends most of her time online pretending her life is perfect. What her followers don't know is that she's drowning in over $50,000 of credit card debt. Despite everything, my parents always favored her. No matter what I achieved, good grades, scholarships, career success, it never mattered. Sutton could post a selfie with a random quote, and my mother would act like it was a masterpiece. Things got worse when I got engaged to Sterling. He's kind, intelligent, and works as a doctor. But what really bothered Sutton wasn't his personality, it was his family. They come from old money. The kind of family with history, influence, and connections. The kind of life Sutton always dreamed of being part of. From that moment on, she became impossible to deal with. 3 months before the wedding, she showed up at my apartment without warning. "I've decided," she said confidently, "I should be your maid of honor." I was surprised. I had already chosen my best friend, Adeline. But Sutton didn't care. She criticized my choice, saying my wedding needed to look high class and that Adeline didn't fit the image. Then she played the emotional card. "I'm your only sister," she said. "What will people think?" When I refused, she called our parents. A few hours later, they showed up and pressured me until I gave in. I said yes, even though I didn't want to. That was my first mistake. After that, her demands only got worse. 2 weeks before the wedding, she told me to pay for her expensive bridesmaid dress, one she had chosen without asking me. It cost $1,800. I paid for it without arguing. Looking back, I can see everything clearly now. Every demand, every manipulation, it was all building up to something bigger. She didn't just want attention. She wanted to ruin my wedding. The big day finally arrived. The ballroom was beautiful, soft lights, elegant decorations, and a stunning 6-tier red velvet cake that cost $8,500. It was perfect. At the head table, I sat between Sterling and Sutton. Everything was carefully planned, even down to the seating and the way photos would be taken. In front of us were identical champagne glasses. Everything looked normal. During dinner, Sterling leaned in to joke about something, and I turned toward him, laughing. That's when it happened. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Sutton reach toward my glass. She pretended to fix something on the table, but in that moment, she poured something into my drink. It was quick, almost invisible. But someone saw it. Adeline. She was sitting across the room and caught everything. Seconds later, my phone buzzed. I looked down and read her message. "Swap glasses." She drugged it. My heart dropped, but I didn't panic. I stayed calm. I looked at my drink, then at my sister, who was watching closely, waiting for me to take a sip. That's when I realized something important. This wasn't just jealousy anymore. This was planned, intentional, cruel. She wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. At that moment, I made a decision. The version of me who always gave in, the one who stayed quiet and kept the peace. She was gone. I was done being the victim. I just needed the right moment to act. And soon enough, that moment came. If there was one thing my sister loved, it was impressing important people. And at this wedding, no one mattered more than Mrs. Eleanor. She was the head of a powerful family. Her name was on buildings, charities, and scholarships. One word from her could change someone's future. Sutton turned so quickly it almost looked painful. She jumped up from her chair and rushed straight into Mrs. Eleanor's path, like an excited dog greeting its owner. "Oh, Mrs. Eleanor," Sutton said, her voice suddenly overly sweet. "Were you resting in the VIP room too? I hope everything isn't too overwhelming for you. These events can be so tiring, especially when everyone wants your attention." She completely turned her back on the table, on me, and on the glasses. In my mind, Adeline's message flashed again. Swap the glasses. This was my only chance. I carefully placed my hands on the bases of both champagne glasses. I didn't pick them up. That would be too obvious. Someone might notice. Instead, I slowly slid them across the table. Behind me, Sutton kept talking. "That dress is absolutely perfect on you," she went on, lightly touching Mrs. Eleanor's sleeve. "The design, the details, everything is stunning. You have such amazing taste. I was just telling Pamela how elegant you look." The smooth tablecloth helped me. It let the glasses move easily, without making noise. Gently, I pushed my glass toward Sutton's seat and pulled hers toward mine at the same time. The glasses glided across the table, barely disturbing the liquid inside. In one quick motion, it was done. I turned the glass slightly so the faint lipstick mark faced away. The whole thing took only a few seconds, just enough time for Sutton to finish her compliment and start praising Mrs. Eleanor's charity work. No one noticed. The servers were busy, the guests were distracted, and Sterling was focused on a conversation across the room. But Adeline saw. I glanced toward her table. She was already looking at me. When our eyes met, she gave the smallest smile and lifted her glass slightly, like a silent toast. Everything had worked. Mrs. Eleanor politely excused herself and walked away, clearly used to people like Sutton. Sutton returned to her seat, glowing with pride. She thought she had made a great impression. She thought everything was going perfectly. Her eyes briefly landed on the two champagne glasses. They looked exactly the same place, same sparkle. She didn't question it. Why would she? Confident and pleased with herself, she picked up the glass in front of her. The one meant for me. "Come on," she said with a smug smile. "Let's toast to your happiness, Pamela." I lifted my glass and smiled back, hiding everything I felt. "Thank you," I said softly. "To a night we'll never forget." Our glasses clinked. She drank deeply, staring straight at me. She believed her plan was working. She thought she was watching me fall apart. I took a small sip from my glass and watched her drink her own trap. She set the glass down, satisfied. I smiled and waited. Now I had to make her believe everything was going according to her plan. So I went quiet. I stopped engaging much in conversation. When Sterling spoke to me, I answered softly. When others joked, I barely reacted. Sutton noticed right away. I could feel her watching me closely, looking for signs. So I gave her what she wanted, a bride who seemed a little distant, a little unfocused. She relaxed, thinking the drug was working. What she didn't realize was that it was already in her system. As the best man began his speech, everyone's attention shifted away from the table. It was the perfect distraction. I watched Sutton from the corner of my eye. She was still smiling, still playing her role, but small changes started to show. She shifted in her seat. She touched her temple. A slight frown appeared. The effects had begun. She probably thought it was just nerves or the champagne. She had no idea what was really happening. After the speech ended, the MC called for the maid of honor. Sutton stood up. I watched closely as she steadied herself on the table for just a second before walking forward. Her smile was still there, but it didn't reach her eyes anymore. She thought it was just stage fright. But I knew the truth. The drug was starting to take control. Still, she had enough confidence left to believe she was fine. She walked toward the stage, moving a little slower than usual, but steady enough. And of course, she chose the perfect spot, right beside the massive wedding cake, beautifully decorated and ready for photos. Exactly where she wanted to shine. The costly wedding cake wasn't just dessert, it was a symbol. It showed wealth, status, and a connection to old money. Standing near it made her feel like she belonged, like she had finally made it into that world. She stayed as close to the cake table as possible, probably closer than the staff preferred. In her left hand, she held a freshly filled glass of wine. With her right, she took the wireless microphone from the host. It looked harmless, but it would carry every word she said across the entire ballroom through the powerful sound system paid for by Sterling's family. Sutton didn't think about that. She didn't consider what might happen if she lost control, if whatever she had taken made her speak too freely. She just smiled and began. "Good evening, everyone," she said, her voice clear through the speakers. "For those who don't know me, I'm Sutton, Pamela's sister and her maid of honor." She sounded steady, but it was obvious she was forcing it. Standing stiff, like she was trying not to lose balance. "I've known Pamela my whole life," she continued, pausing for effect. "And it's been quite a journey watching her find someone worthy of her." The guests chuckled politely. Pamela has always been the responsible one, the organized one, the one with the perfect plans and the perfect career. And now, she added, her tone sharpening slightly beneath the sweetness, she has the perfect husband from the perfect family. From my seat, I reached for Sterling's hand and squeezed it. He had no idea what was about to happen. Sutton raised her glass. "So here's to Pamela," she said, smiling wide, but it didn't feel genuine. "To my perfect sister and her perfect life." Glasses lifted around the room, but I just watched. Waited for the moment everything would change. She continued her speech smoothly, playing her role perfectly. The loving sister, the supportive bridesmaid. But I knew the truth behind the act. "To my sister and her husband," she said with a practiced, dramatic tone, "may your marriage be everything mine will be one day." Then she took a long sip from her glass. At first, nothing happened. She lowered it, still smiling, still acting. Then I saw it. A small shake in her stance. Her free hand reaching for the podium as if the floor had shifted beneath her. "Thank you all for," her words started to blur. Her eyelids drooped. The glass trembled in her hand. Beside me, Adeline whispered, "How much did she take?" "I don't know," I replied quietly. "But it's hitting her fast." Sutton was swaying now, gripping the microphone stand tightly. The room fell silent as hundreds of guests watched her lose control. "Why?" she said weakly, her voice cracking through the speakers. "Why is the ceiling spinning?" The glass slipped from her hand, falling in slow motion before shattering loudly on the stage floor. Then her legs gave out. She fell forward, still clutching the microphone, her body unable to stop itself. There was no attempt to catch her fall, no control left. She crashed straight into the wedding cake. 6 layers of red velvet, beautiful, expensive, carefully designed, collapsed instantly. Frosting and crumbs exploded everywhere as she hit it face first, her dress sinking into the mess. White cream and deep red cake mixed together in a disturbing way, making the scene look almost like something violent had happened. She lay there, motionless, covered in frosting, her hair and dress ruined beyond recognition. For a second, no one moved. Then my mother screamed her name. Sterling reacted instantly. His training took over as he rushed to the stage, dropping to his knees beside her. "Cut the music," he ordered firmly. The room went silent. He turned her onto her side, clearing her airway and wiping frosting from her face. He checked her pulse, then her eyes, his expression growing more serious. Everyone watched in shock. As he moved her, Sutton stirred slightly. The microphone was still in her hand, now close to her lips. Her eyes opened just a little, unfocused. "No," she whispered. The microphone caught it. "Wrong glass." Her weak voice echoed through the entire ballroom. "The drugged glass." The words hung in the air. Everything froze. Sterling stopped. Slowly, he looked up, from Sutton to my parents standing nearby. His expression had turned cold. "She's not having a stroke," he said calmly, choosing his words carefully. "This is a toxic reaction. Alcohol mixed with a strong sedative. These are clear signs of an overdose." My mother gasped. "What? No, she wouldn't do that." Sterling didn't argue. He pulled out his phone and called for an ambulance, quickly explaining everything in medical terms. Then he hung up. My father finally spoke, his voice shaking with disbelief. "This is ridiculous. Sutton would never do something like this. There must be a mistake." Sterling stood up straight, looking down at both of them with a cold, firm expression. "You're both going to the hospital with her." He paused, his eyes hard. "I won't call the police tonight. But if anything like this happens again, I won't be so kind next time." The warning was clear. For the first time in my life, my father stepped back. The man who always controlled everything suddenly had nothing to say. Within minutes, the ambulance arrived. The paramedics lifted Sutton onto a stretcher. Her face was messy with cake, her dress completely ruined. My mother climbed into the ambulance silently, wearing that familiar look of dramatic suffering. My father lingered for a moment, staring at me. I couldn't tell what he felt, anger, guilt, or fear. I didn't look away. Then he left, and the ambulance disappeared into the night. The ballroom was a mess. Guests whispered in shock. The cake lay destroyed on the floor, like proof of everything that had gone wrong. I stood there, holding Sterling's hand, and felt something unexpected. Relief. Adeline walked up beside me, holding her phone proudly. "I recorded everything," she said. The fall and what she said. She played the audio. Sutton's weak voice echoed. "Wrong glass, the drugged glass." People nearby heard it. The whispers grew louder. The truth spread quickly. My sister had just confessed in front of hundreds of people. Eleanor walked over, her dress still perfect despite the chaos. She looked around and then at me. "Well," she said lightly, "this is definitely the most unforgettable wedding I've ever seen." The hotel manager rushed over, nervous. "Should we end the reception?" I looked at the ruined cake. Expensive, beautiful, now completely destroyed. And yet, I felt free. Sterling looked at me gently. "How are you feeling?" Before I could answer, he added, "This is the first time you've looked relaxed since we got engaged." He was right. For months, I had tried to keep peace in my family. I had done everything for Sutton, and she still tried to hurt me. But now, it was over. I smiled, really smiled, and turned to the manager. "Clean this up. Bring more wine and desserts. The night isn't over." He blinked in surprise. "You want to continue?" "This is my wedding," I said firmly. "I'm celebrating it with people who truly care about me." Something changed after that. Some guests quietly left, the ones who were only there for appearances. But the ones who stayed,
They were the ones who mattered. Friends, supporters, real family. Music started again. Desserts were served. Champagne flowed.
Without the pressure of my family, everything felt lighter, real. I danced with Sterling, finally relaxed, finally happy. No regrets, he whispered.
None, I replied.
The next morning, I got a message from my mother.
How could you let this happen? Sutton only did it because she felt left out. She made a mistake.
You should forgive her. Family is family.
I read it twice. The old me would have replied, would have apologized, but not anymore.
I deleted the message. Then I blocked her number. One by one, I cut ties with her, my father, and Sutton.
No more guilt. No more pressure.
For the first time in my life, I felt free. A year later, I was 8 months pregnant.
At the checkup, the doctor smiled.
Your baby girl is healthy.
A daughter.
Sterling squeezed my hand, emotional. We'll treat all our children equally, I said softly. Always, he agreed. My family tried to contact me again, wanting to be part of my life.
I didn't respond.
Some relationships, once broken, should stay that way.
That evening, I wrote about everything online and asked,
was I wrong for switching the glasses? Should I make Sutton pay for the destroyed cake? Is it better to lose money than stay connected to toxic people?
Then I closed my laptop. Inside, Sterling was cooking. Our home felt peaceful. I felt my baby move and smiled. The wedding had fallen apart. My family was gone.
And I had never been happier. I was finally free.